Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, my students? I hope that you're happy and healthy and ready for today's lesson, which is the fourth part of the enrichments. Before we take today's lesson, let's revise what we previously took, the passive. And remember, we use the passive just to focus on the action, For example, the crime was committed early in the morning, so we are focusing on the crime. And also here we took the language builder. In many cases we can use either the past perfect or the simple past or the past progressive. However, the past perfect helps make the order of the events clearer. So if you have two events in the past, use the past perfect just to make it clear for the listener. So these are today's objectives. Today we'll be taking the conversation in Unit 2, and these are the objectives here: to make use of real talk phrases in real conversations, use the new words in sentences. So this is the conversation. What do you see here in this picture? What is this man doing? Yes, he's trying to steal the wallet from the other man, or in other words, he's trying to pickpocket. So the man here in the blue jacket, he is being pickpocketed. So this is the conversation here. We have a conversation between Albert and his friend Ali. Let's listen to the conversation and then we'll be answering some questions about it. Let's listen together.
Crime doesn't pay. When traveling in cities, I used to worry about being pickpocketed. Then I learned how pickpockets do it. That taught me how to prevent it from happening to me.
So how do they do it?
Well, to begin with, they look for someone on the street who has stopped to look at buildings or people. That's one of the reasons tourists are an easy mark.
Then what happens?
The pickpocket will often pretend to bump into the victim by accident. He might act as if he's dizzy. He may ask you where you're from, act really friendly, and try to shake your hand.
Then what?
At this point, he might pretend to lose his balance and fall against you. Like this.
Then what?
That's it. You've let your guard down, and consequently, he's nabbed your wallet.
Are you kidding? Come on, my wallet couldn't possibly be stolen that easily.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Then what's this in my hand?
My wallet!
So here they're talking about pickpocketers and how do they steal from you without you noticing. They talk to you or they bump to you, and consequently your belongings are gone. So if you see here the word here, this word here, consequently, it means the reason here. When someone bump into you, consequently because of that bump, they will steal from you. As you see here, Albert says when traveling in cities, so they also make use of the travelers who are stunned because of the buildings. So when they steal from them, they wouldn't notice. He says, so how do they do it? He said, well, to begin with, they look for someone on the street who has stopped. So someone who is not moving, who stopped. Why? To look at buildings or people. So you're stopped, you're busy, you're not in your full conscious here. That's one of the reasons tourists are an easy mark. So who is an easy mark? Of course, tourists. Then what happens? The pickpocket will often pretend to bump into you. They will pretend that they are feeling dizzy or something like that. Then they bump into you, and because they are light-handed, this bump will lead to your belongings stolen. So how do pickpockets choose their victim? How do they choose their target? The second question, what do they do before they commit the crime? The third question, what do you think Albert does when he says like this? And then we heard some sounds there. Why is Ali surprised at the end of the conversation? So the first one, how do pickpockets choose their victims? They look for people who are looking at buildings and other things. They often choose tourists because the tourist is walking in the street. He's busy looking at the high buildings. That's why you're busy here. And while you're looking, they will walk maybe past you and steal from your jacket or your trousers. What do they do before they commit the crime? So what do they do before they commit their crime? Yes, that's correct. They bump into their victim or act very friendly and shake the victim's hand. So maybe they'll bump into you, or maybe they'll act friendly, trying to help you in some sort of ways, and even they will shake your hand, all just because you let your guard down there, and then they will steal from you. What do you think Albert does when he says like this? And then we heard some sound there. So what do you think that he did? Yes, he acts out what the pickpocket does. So he acts out what the pickpocket does by bumping into his friend. Why is Ali surprised at the end of the conversation? Why is Ali surprised at the end of the conversation? He was surprised because of what? Yes, Albert has stolen his wallet from his pocket. So Ali was surprised that by the end of the conversation, he patted his pockets and he didn't find the wallet because Albert has stolen his wallet from him when he bumped into him. Excellent. So the real talk here, easy mark means likely victims. Who were the easy marks there? Yes, the tourists, because they are busy. By accident, not on purpose. By accident, it means it's not intentionally, not on purpose. To let your guard down, not be careful enough to let your guard down, it means to be careless, not to be careful enough. Nabbed means stolen. So who says each phrase and why? Who says easy mark? Who says easy mark and why did he say it? Yes, that's correct. Albert says this to describe the type of person it's easy to steal from. Of course, he meant the tourists. By accident, who says by accident? Yes, that's correct. Albert, again, he says this to explain that the pickpocket bumps into people and makes it look like it was not intentional. So they are acting, they're lying. They make you believe that it's by accident, which is actually not. To let your guard down. Who says this phrase? Let your guard down. Yes, that's correct. Again, it's Albert. Albert says this to describe a moment. So sometimes you let your guard down just a moment. A moment when the victim stops paying attention and isn't careful. To let your guard down just for a moment when you're not paying attention, that's when the criminal or the pickpocket come and take your belongings. And the word nabbed, who says the word nabbed? Yes, that's correct. Albert again says this to describe the type of person it's easy to steal from. Of course, nabbed means stolen. So continuing here with the real talk. Are you kidding? Which means, are you joking? You say this when you don't believe someone from your surprise. Are you kidding? Yes, are you joking? And the word here, come on. When you say this when you want someone to be serious. You say, come on, be serious with me. So this is when you say it. Please be serious. And you say, I'm positive, meaning I'm certain. So I'm positive, meaning I'm sure, I'm 100% certain. Again, who says, are you kidding? Yes, Ali says this because he doesn't believe that Albert's telling the truth. He thinks it's a joke. Come on, who says come on here? Yes, Ali again. Ali wants Albert to stop kidding or joking. I'm positive. Who says I'm positive and why? Yes, Ali says this to emphasize that he is very sure no one could steal his wallet that easily. But to his surprise, at the end, his wallet was stolen, of course, by his friend when he bumped into him. So about the conversation question here, we have 3 questions here. What crime are the people talking about? What's the crime here? What crime are the people talking about? How does the crime happen? Explain the steps. How does the crime happen? Explain the steps. Have you or anyone you know ever been pickpocketed or robbed? What happened? Have you or anyone you know have been pickpocketed? What happened? So the questions again. What crime are the people talking about? Ali and Albert, of course. How does the crime happen? Explain the steps. Have you or anyone you know ever been pickpocketed or robbed? And then tell us what happened. So read the conversation again and try to focus on the answers to the question. Read the conversation again. Take 2 or 3 minutes to read the conversation again, and then try to answer the question. Of course, focus on the steps of the crime, and try to figure out why did the crime happen. So now let's get back to the questions. What crime the people are talking about? What's the name of the crime of someone stealing from someone else in the crowd while they are busy? Yes, that's correct. They're talking about pickpocketing. They're talking about pickpocketing. How does the crime happen? Explain the steps. How does the crime happen? Then explain the steps. Of course, you've read it and you know the steps. Yes, look for someone who isn't walking. So the first step, they're looking for someone who stopped. That will make him an easy target. Someone who is not walking. Pretend to bump into the victim by accident, to pretend that they tripped or maybe that they're feeling dizzy, and then they will bump into you. That's the second step. Shake victim's hand. Maybe they will shake your hand. Act really friendly. Take the wallet and walk away. So these are the steps. They will act that they are dizzy or that they fell on something, and they will bump into you. That's when you will let your guard down and your wallet will disappear. Have you or anyone you know ever been pickpocketed or robbed? What happened? So for me, no, alhamdulillah. Have you ever been pickpocketed? You or your friend, try to tell the story to your colleagues if it happened, and then explain, try to elaborate about the story of what happened. So your turn, the part about your turn, ordering to begin with, once, at this point, consequently. Again, to begin with, once, at this point, consequently. These are some expressions people use when describing a process in order to put the steps in the right order. So these are words you use to put some sentences in the order. To begin with, of course, you write this in the beginning. Once, which means that something happened to you once. At this point. At this point. So you also use this to show the order of the sentence, and consequently, as we used it in the conversation, which means something happened because of something else. Something happened from the word consequences. Something happened because of something else. Hence the word here, consequently. Which expressions does Albert use in the conversation? Which expressions does Albert use in the conversation? To begin with and consequently. To begin with, this is the first thing, this is the first step, to begin with, and the word consequently. So these are words to help you in the order of the story. To begin with, once, at this point, and the word consequently. Role play with a partner. Think about a process for doing something. Explain the steps in the process to your partner. Use the phrases for ordering from the box. Again, role play with a partner, role play, which means act something like a teacher and student and etc. Think about a process, something to do, a process for doing something. Explain the steps in the process to your partner. So you have to explain the steps of this process to your partner. Use the phrases for ordering from the box. You try to use these words to help you order put the words in the order that you want. Again, to begin with. So you write this in the beginning. Or once, at this point. Consequently. Consequently means one happened because of another event. And with that, we reach the end of this lesson. See you next lesson, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.